Tsitsipas, and yes, you join me in a Lexus LFA. A Lexus LFA. These cars are so iconic in my mind. We don't get them very often in the UK or really in Europe, so when I got the opportunity to get behind the wheel of one here in Melbourne, I leapt at it. Lexus Australia literally dropped me an email last week saying, "Hi Sam, we see you're coming to Melbourne, we've got an LFA, would you like to borrow one for the day?" I was like, yes please. And so you joined me in the Yarra Valley region. This is a very famous wine making region. It's also got some absolutely stunning driving roads. Tonight, I'm headed to the Australian Open to see the legend that is Roger Federer play in the 4th round. Before going there, I didn't want to literally just cruise around in central Melbourne, so I wanted to get out and stretch this thing's legs because, let's face it, whilst the LFA is kind of getting a little old now, it still has possibly one of the best sounding factory exhaust and engine sounds ever. Interestingly today, I'm following an LC500, the V8 one, which actually sounds so good, and I suppose you could call it the modern day LFA, but it doesn't quite have the same sort of supercar characteristics that this thing does or did, because, as I mentioned, it is 10 or nearly 10 years old now, the LFA, and whilst looks-wise and sound-wise and maybe performance-wise you could argue it feels pretty contemporary still, there are some things that give away its age, and some of the sort of tech and gizmos in here are that, but the biggest sign of age with this car is unfortunately the gearbox. Nearly 10 years ago they were all pretty much still single clutch automatic gearboxes rather than the double dual clutch stuff you get right now, which means the shifts are pretty slow. I mean, I'll try and show you now. It's just an excuse to come through the gears and hear that exhaust note, but look, I'll accelerate, shift. You probably saw my head lurch quite violently. So, my tip to any would-be LFA driver, immediately, sport mode selected up here. You can see the dash has gone sort of white there. And then I have an additional select on the right-hand side, which means I can speed up the gear changes. Do you see that in the middle? That yellow bar is increasing and decreasing to its fastest setting, which means now, if I drop down a little bit, come through the gears, immediately more aggressive and lots more fun. It does weirdly remind me a bit of a Lamborghini Aventador. It's such a unique thing to drive, this car, and as I say, for me, in my mind, very iconic. So you immediately forgive the slightly dated gearbox. First stop of the day then, and we come to Domaine Chandon, which is naturally a vineyard. All these vineyards look absolutely stunning because we've driven past a ton of them from the road and been looking in, and they look amazing. This one looks like the fanciest, so I feel feels appropriate to be turning up in an LFA. I'm gonna need my hat back given the sun. Oh, there's a Ferrari! There's a...
Where?
Here. 612 Scaglietti.
Wait.
It's the same company. Oh, okay, I don't know if you heard Nick there, but Chandon, where we are at Domaine Chandon, sponsor McLaren, the Formula 1 team. So is the domain just mean like the house, yo?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's a Ferrari here, so
there is.
Yeah. Probably shouldn't be saying that to the Lexus PR man, but anyway, he seemed to be amused. Well, that place was way too busy and way too hot, so I think we've kind of like accidentally driven into a heat wave. We keep seeing it all over the news, you know, heat wave coming, and Melbourne this morning was a little bit cloudy. Now I've got to figure out how to use this ridiculous system on the Lexus. There we go. Turn up the aircon a little bit. So we're absolutely dying because we're sort of wearing winter clothes, given the fact that it was so cloudy and sort of quite chilly. And now it's about 85 degrees Celsius and not very comfortable. So anyway, we're finding somewhere else for lunch, but nice to stop off in Aᴜsᴛʀʟɪᴜ anyway. And getting used to all these controls in here isn't the easiest thing to do, especially when you're a little bit heat stressed. But anyway, onwards to another vineyard.
Brother to brother, why don't we feel for each other? Can we still feel for one another?
So I've decided I'm going to be rating the vineyards in the Yarra Valley based on the cars in the car park. So it appears as though we've stepped up slightly from Aᴜsᴛʀʟɪᴜ. I wish I could tell you exactly where we are. I'll figure it out in a second. But look at this, a Eᴘ8 Roadster, absolutely stunning. LFA's over in the car park, and I brought my rucksack in because another small issue with the LFA, like so many cars, the boot of it gets incredibly hot. Times by the fact that we're in some kind of heat wave with the sun burning through the glass, all my cameras were basically melting, so I brought them inside to try and cool them off. But yeah, this is incredible. I need to have a go at an Eᴘ8. Ever since that experience with Paul Wallace down in Monaco in the SV, I've started to get them a bit more. Anyway, this place is lovely. So going on my judgment of the fact there's an Eᴘ8 parked out there, let me just point you to the first page of today's menu where there is a beef burger for $130 for a beef burger. Nick, I don't know where you've brought us.
The right place.
The right place.
Oh, there's a fly, there's a fly!
Sorry. Bugs in Australia. You never can be
Just
too...
open the window!
You can never be too careful! Just in case it's... Ah, it's two! Ah! Open your window. I think they're just normal flies, but as I say, in Australia, you can never be too careful.
Done.
What a delicious lunch. I like fancy places. I mean, I know that's not, it's a bit embarrassing. I'm perfectly happy in like a everyday fry-up place, but this was lovely and the food was great. I didn't regret not having the $130 burger because I just think out of principle that's a ridiculous thing, but I had delicious chicken, great French fries, and now I'm going to try and find somewhere to fly my drone. By the way, reverse is a little switch down here, that's why I was reaching there. Because such an epic place, it feels only right to try and get the drone up in the air. So, considering that a helicopter just took off right next to me, I'm going to try and find somewhere else to fly El Droney. And then make our way back to Melbourne because Federer is on court in less than 3 hours, people. We don't want to miss a second. So once again, I've come to fly the drone and I've got gimbal issues. I don't know if this is something to do with the fact I've got a UK drone in Australia, or maybe Australia's like anti-drone rules, I don't know, but essentially my gimbal is freaking out. You probably won't be able to see it on my screen, but the gimbal's like, ah. So look at the scenery, look at the way we've parked up the two cars, and I can't really capture any of it in the scale that I wanted to. But we have found a quiet road, so it could be an excuse to get some flybys of the LFA. I'm going to land the drone, reset it, start again, see what I can do. But yeah, damn you DJI, damn you to hell. What? Where's the LFA? smiling through all that, like, oh, look at the look on his face, but I was concentrating so hard, because when this thing gets up and goes, it still gets up and goes. And the noise is just intoxicating. Little narrow windy road there. The first proper driving I've done here in Australia in a proper supercar, despite the age. I don't know why I keep talking about the age. It just amazes me this car is nearly 10 years old. But yeah, I mean, what a Well, I believe we are arriving at the Australian Open area. I don't know, it must have a name. The Australian Open place, which means it's the end of my time with the LFA. But what an awesome day. We've been so lucky with the weather, and it's just been amazing spending a whole day with this car, because my only other experience with an LFA was for, you know, a sort of 30-minute, hour-long blast back in the UK. So yeah, being out here, being able to push it, being able to see what it'd be like to live with one of these things, absolutely amazing. So huge thanks to Lexus Australia. I feel like I need to park up and do a quick photo with the car before I hand the keys back, and then we're going to head inside for our evening of tennis.
So this is how it's gonna be. Enemies, family. Let's try to love you and me. I'll go first so you can see. Why don't we feel for each other?
Well, what an insane but long day. Go Tsitsipas, would I say that rudely? I'm not sure, but go Stefanos. We were supporting him from the moment he stepped on the court. What a cool guy. As amazing as it was to see Roger Federer play, and something that I've always wanted to do, I just secretly, I'm a fan of the, you know, young, up-and-coming talent. So yeah, anyway, very cool, amazing match to see, but what an incredible day behind the wheel of an LFA. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you have, and make sure to subscribe for plenty more videos to come.